Hello fellow collectors and welcome to Long's Toys. Today we are taking a look at Aiai from the Super Monkey Ball franchise, and this is a new line of figures from Jakks that's all characters from various Sega properties. This first wave has 3 figures. We're also going to see Axel from Streets of Rage and the Werewolf from Altered Beast, and I'm really excited for all those. I'll be honest, Super Monkey Ball probably, my least favorite of the 3 that are going to be featured in this first wave, but this was the only one I could find at my local Walmart. And apparently they're going to be exclusive to Walmart, at least for a little bit. At least that's what I've been led to believe online. But they look really cool. I mean, they're 1/18 scale figures. Guys, I'm a huge collector for 4-inch figures. It's kind of my preferred scale. So anytime they're doing more figures in that scale, I'm very excited for it. Especially because Jakks tends to do like 4.5 to 5-inch figures or like 2.5-inch figures. So they're usually kind of outside, the scale that I prefer. But now they're jumping right in and we're getting some 1/18 scale figures and I'm really excited about it. So this looks really, really cool. I'm really happy about this. He comes with a little platform to connect to, and then of course the monkey ball to put him in, and by connecting him to that platform he'll have like a gyroscope effect where he kind of moves around inside the ball but doesn't fall over. Packaging I think looks really, really cool. Nice picture here on the front, very bright and colorful. Spinning it around to the back, again it shows you how to connect him and then put him inside the ball, and of course he can hold on to that banana there. 8 points of articulation. I think the other figures are going to have more because they're larger, but I think this is pretty good for the size. So yeah, I'm really excited for this. I'm going to go ahead and get him out of the packaging here, and we'll take a closer look. So here is Aiai out of the packaging. I think he looks pretty great. He's definitely very small, and they mentioned 8 points of articulation. You have a kind of ball joint here at the neck that can move all around. You have hinges and rotation at the shoulders. The arms are one solid piece. I guess they could have maybe put a rotation in where the arm kind of meets the sleeve cuff, but I'm assuming it's just too thin, so they couldn't do that. Then you have a kind of ball joint at the waist, kind of where the t-shirt meets the lower body. And then you have a hinge and rotation at the top of the leg. And then you have a swivel here at the foot. Now, if you look at the back of this, it looks like there are hinges for the ankles as well. They're very small, as you can see. But when I try to actually utilize them, it really starts to make me nervous, and they don't seem to want to move, and so I'm not going to break it. But you can definitely swivel the foot side to side, and the hinge here at the, I guess, hip, for lack of a better term, because the way he's built, it doesn't really seem like hips, but I guess those are his hips. So you have a nice hinge and swivel there, and then really just kind of a swivel down here at the foot. I'll be honest, I don't really need him to have crazy ankle articulation since he's such a small figure. But he's painted very nicely. I mean, I think the whole head is done really nice. The paint applications there on the shirt looks really good as well. And then he's got this little backpack on the back, which I think looks really good. And of course, he can grasp his little banana there. So a very cool, tiny little figure. Now these are supposed to be 1/18 scale, 3 3/4 inch, 4-inch. So to do a little size comparison, I have some other 3 3/4 inch figures. This is a Hasbro Star Wars Retro Collection figure. We have a Super 7 reaction figure. These should both be 3 3/4 inch. And then I have this blocky Transformers model kit figure, which should be around 4 inches. Well, let's see, he's kind of, if I stand him straight up, is he a little bit taller? I guess he's about 3 3/4 inches as well. So just to kind of give you a little bit idea of scale. Now, of course, he is going to be small compared to the rest of them, but these characters are small compared to, I guess, normal size characters. That's kind of their whole point. And the main draw for him is putting him in the monkey ball. So let's go ahead and check that out. So as you can see here, the ball comes in 3 pieces. So you have this kind of base piece, which has some weights to it and little ball bearings here so it can move around. And we're going to go ahead and peg the character's feet into this. So we will pop that on there. And you might have to kind of rotate the feet so that they are facing straight forward for this to work. And they do peg on pretty snugly, like that. And then we're just going to take the 2 halves of the ball and pop this in here and then close it up, and snaps together pretty securely. And now as you roll it all around, You can see, although honestly, it looks like the top of his head might be... No, it's alright. It's okay. Yeah, the top of his head is getting a little stuck, quite honestly, just because of how tall he is. But you can kind of get the point of it here where, you know, it's moving around and it's rolling around him. And, you know, he is kind of... It's not working as well as it probably could. But again, I think that's just because, well, if we look at it, it looks like his head kind of clears. And that's why I kind of wish the pegs on the base were a little bit, like you could put him in a little bit shorter stance or squatter stance since he has that kind of cowlick there on the top. So yeah, unfortunately it's not working as well as it could. It works okay. I mean, you can see it does, as I move the ball around, he does eventually kind of, you know, rotate to center, but you can actually kind of keep him in there. He's kind of balanced on the cowlick there. So it doesn't work as well as it could, but it works decently enough. And if you can kind of get a good rhythm, there we go. It was doing it. So yeah, it's a shame that it doesn't work better, but like I said, it works okay. And it's still really cool to see. And the nice thing is, if you were to wanted to put this on a shelf to kind of display them like that, it's not, you know, it has enough weight to it that it'll kind of find its center and it'll still display well without kind of rolling off of your shelf. But the gyroscope doesn't work as well as it probably could. So I'd be interested to see if they do other characters for this. Because like I said, it's kind of an anthology series, so I don't know if we'll come back to Super Monkey Ball or not, or if this is kind of a one-off. But if they do other characters, one that doesn't quite have, you know, the hairpiece there, it might work a little better. Because if I take this off, and I take Aiai off of the base, which can be a little easier said than done because of how snugly he pops on there. There we go. So if I put this in and I move it around, you can see it works very well. Like, it's going to move all the way around and do what it's supposed to do and always kind of be where it's supposed to be. It's just, I think, because he does have, you know, this little bit here, and that might be kind of just grazing the top of the ball as he moves around and preventing it from working fully. So that's a bit unfortunate. Maybe if let me try it again. Maybe I can kind of angle his head down and we'll see if that helps. So let me try to peg him in again. So line this up and this up. And really make sure he's pegged all the way in. And then I'll kind of pitch him forward a little bit and see if that helps. Yeah, that really does seem to help. So maybe that's the key. Just kind of make sure you're kind of pitching him forward. I mean, it does kind of get stuck sometimes. You can see like it seems to be still kind of stuck and not really want to work as well as it should. And maybe that's just the ball bearings on the bottom are not quite rolling as well as they should. Because there, we'll see, I honestly can't tell if it's just that this is stuck or if the head... There you go, if I kind of move it quickly. But like if I just roll him, he's going to kind of go all over the place. It's working a little bit. It's definitely working better now that I kind of pitch the head forward, but you can see he is kind of rolling around. But then it will kind of find the base because it does have that weight. So like if I kind of roll it, and then it'll kind of figure it out. Let me see. Oh, I want it to kind of stop in the middle of frame here, and it doesn't really want to cooperate. Come on. I'll say this, it's fun to play with. There you go. You can see that like eventually the weight it figures out what it's supposed to do and kind of adjusts. So that's kind of cool. So like I said, it works, just probably not as great as it was intended to work. But I still think it's a lot of fun. I think the figure's pretty cool. And considering that's kind of the main gimmick for this video game, they were able to incorporate that here. And I think that's really important. Because if they just had the figure on its own, I definitely don't think it would be nearly as appealing. I feel like the ball is very centric to the video game and, of course, the character. And so I think they did a good job, you know, making sure to include that. I think that was definitely the way to go. But yeah, it's a fun little figure. I think he looks good. Good paint applications, pretty good articulation. Could have had maybe 1 or 2 more points of articulation, but let me move the ball pieces here out of the way. But overall, I do think it's a fun figure. Like I said, out of all the figures that are in this wave, this is probably the one I was least excited for, and I don't really feel like I can judge the entire wave by this one figure. I do think that the other two will probably be better action figures because they're a little bit bigger. They have kind of, you know, more weight and mass to them, so they can pack in more articulation. You don't have as many like skinny limbs and things like that. So I'm really looking forward to the other two, especially the werewolf from Altered Beast. I think that's going to be amazing. So definitely a neat little first entry. Kind of glad I got this one first. That way the other two I feel like will be even better. And that way I'm kind of getting the least exciting one out of the way first. But I still think it's worth checking out. If you've ever played the game or if you're a fan of the franchise at all, I think it's a fun little figure to pick up. And I think the ball function, even though it doesn't work as well as it could, I think it's still pretty fun to mess around with. And the other thing is these figures are $10. And I still feel like that's a really good price point. You know, it's a fun little figure with a fun little gimmick. $10 for an articulated action figure I think is very reasonable, especially with the amount of paint applications and everything that we get here. So definitely worth checking out, but I cannot wait to find the other two. But I still think this guy is worth checking out, especially if you're a fan of the franchise. So let me know what you guys think in the comments below. Please like, share, and subscribe. Hope you guys enjoyed the video, and as always, thanks so much for watching.